Arnis is so strange, man. She's a living character on an undead roster, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, lore-wise, doesn't she technically actually hate undead and vampires in any way? The whole thing is kind of strange, but what does she bring to the table? Of course, solid melee stats, very solid melee stats other than armor. Very good melee attack defense, anti-large, armor piercing damage, 43 bonus versus large, coming partly from the Kraken's Bane, which is a really nice little AoE buff. Constant plus 8 bonus versus large is really nice. With an extra 5 melee attack, always helps those undead units which don't have the best attack stats. Of course, her best ability by far is the Hard Snare Spearfisher's Net, minus 24 melee defense as well, only 18-second duration, and only single target, but it's definitely something she can bring to the table. This melee rush build from Pigman here has got Sirens up front, second line of Depth Guard, Morn Ghouls, so lots of anti-infantry, melee punching power, not a lot of chaff, in fact no chaff whatsoever, no zombies actually, which is very interesting. All captain here, Depth Guard, Morn Ghouls, and Sirens. Should be quite interesting. The Night Terrors here as well, facing off against Cathay. Got plenty of anti-large here for Jade Warriors, some Peasant Archers, the magical Grace of Kuai Yin, the Celestial Dragon crossbows that have magic flaming damage, going to be very applicable here against those Sirens. Onyx Crowmen also have magic damage. We've got one of them, some Jade Lancers, Peasant Horsemen, protect the backline, Grand Cannon there. Some Peasant Spears also mixed in on the flanks. So yeah, we're going to get things rolling right away. And the Sirens taking some hits. Cannon trying to hit the Morn Ghouls, trying to hit Aranessa herself. Doesn't have a ton of HP. She's on the as foot character, of course. Some physical resistance, though, 20%, which definitely helps with that only 20 armor. And yeah, 65-60 on stats, as mentioned, is quite good with that Kraken's Bane active, of course. You can see the damage on those Sirens as the Celestial ROR opens up. Gonna do some really nice damage, but as will the Night Terrors. I think a little bit of a mistake there to countercharge those Jade Warriors late. They actually lose their bracing bonus and end up taking a ton of damage. Likewise, the Morn Ghouls also just taking a ton of damage on this approach, but oh yeah, here we go. Spearfisher's Net. And it's Lure of the Deeps, which means we get, oh yes, Van Geist's Revenge. The giant ship pulls up, blast cannons down the line. Does a huge amount of HP damage, kills most, well, actually doesn't kill any of the unit, but they all have like 5 HP left. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, definitely a nice combination of things that you can do with that Lure of Deeps. Van Geist's Revenge, of course, being a very long wind-up time, pretty easy to dodge, a very large animation, obviously, so can definitely be tough to avoid that. But yeah, no follow-up on the Grace of Kuai Yin, so they could be healed if there was any healing for Cathay here. Of course, there's not. Storm of Shadows instead being used to slow down this rush pocket as they push through. The first line of Jade Warrior halberds being broken. Out here on the flanks also, there's terror. A lot of terror in this build between all the Sirens and the Night Terrors. Regular Morn Ghouls don't have terror, I believe. I think they're all dead anyway, so we can't check. But that's alright. The rest of these more tanky rush tools will be getting in here and trying to get their work done against the staunch troops of Cathay. Jade Warriors duking it out. Very cool. Get up close with these line troops. Depth Guard using their dual axes and the cursed Sirens as well. For the Sirens specifically, their anti-armor capability is going to be very good. Here also fighting by Aranessa's side, they get anti-large of +8 with an extra melee attack as well. They're right now hitting at about 40 melee attack against these Jade Lancers, Peasant Horsemen with pure 100% AP damage. Definitely increases their killing power here. They're able to hold out against quite the number of cavalry. The Regiment of Renown, though, does rally, and with all their unit models still online, they're technically still full DPS, despite having an extremely low percentage of HP. They're able to come in, just wreck that unit of Depth Guard there. You see a bit of taunt on those Jade Lancers as the fleet captain tries to hold out. But I would imagine, yeah, Grace here going to start teeing off on those Sirens. Use that really nice magic damage to focus fire in the center. Take some good hits on those Sirens. Let's see. Yeah, the Jade Lancers still get terrified away. No surprises there. And in general, the speed here of the Vampire Coast's attack infantry right? You think about Sirens, very fast, 48 speed. They don't have Frostbite like most Ethereals, so they can't slow in that way. But they do have Charmed, which is obviously nice. Depth Guard also, again, 36 speed, at least can outlast or outclass the Peasant Long Spears, and just generally the infantry of Cathay is going to be pretty slow. These quick moving infantry units for Vampire Coast can definitely run around, get things done. Arnessa definitely fits in that category as well, 44 speed for her, so synergizes well with this build in a number of ways. That infantry speed is definitely something that, it's a factor you might not always consider, especially in certain matchups, but it can actually matter a lot. Here, Grace is once again going to take some more shots. We got another Vanguard's Revenge popping up on this blob over here, where the captain had been getting absolutely pummeled. Another beautifully placed Vanguard's Revenge there, going to just wreck that Peasant Archer, shatter them. Onyx Croman shatter. The captain's crumbling for now, might be able to recover her leadership, but can get in melee combat, of course, and keep regenerating with the hunger. So she's going to move over, try and fight those Peasant Archers there. A little bit of speed slowing. Mark of Yin on those Depth Guard also reduces their, or not speed, armor and missile resistance, rather. They're going to get wrecked by the crossbows, but Sirens, the grace of Y is facing the other way, focusing their fire on another target. Sirens, crumbling as they are, going to come through, try and do a little bit of damage here. The Ancestral Warrior Summon is definitely a good response to Ethereals in general. They've got great all-around stats, and of course, being Ethereal, they also deal plenty of magic damage themselves, but of course they are a summon, so they're limited there. You see them drop as their summon timer runs out. Yeah, Depth Guard on their last limbs, at least one unit here, but we've got two quite healthy still. This Siren also over half HP left. Going to be super important in this late game. Cathay's got a lot left though too. Balance power definitely right in the middle. Just a matter of if Cathay can bring all their forces to bear. Like we've got this Siren crumbling out over here, this Siren in the center, maybe hit them from multiple directions, even though Peasant Archers don't do magic damage. Just the fact that the Sirens don't have any armor means that the arrows will do certainly some damage. If they could open up here, the Grace, once again, show their worth. They get a nice cheeky little volley there. Does a really good damage to Sirens. And the Grace now trying to pull in a position they can continue taking those pot shots, but Depth Guard are going to be much faster, so got to keep that Storm of Shadows up as long as possible, and even then, you can only keep it up for so long, right, before you have to wait for the cooldown. So, cheap as that spell is, will it be able to hold off the advance of these Depth Guard? You've also got the white line coming up at the edge of the battlefield here on this far side. These Peasant Archers are going to get absolutely mown down by Depth Guard. And for the Depth Guard, getting chased around or chasing enemy units around really is tough because they require that, the hunger requires them to be in melee to replenish their HP. But, that speed definitely comes in handy. They're able to make contact here, finish that unit off. Storm of the Night, not have enough of a cooldown to protect there. Here, these Peasant Archers also get terrified. Dragon-Blooded Shugengan Lord's going to want to take an engagement here. Also does have magic damage, I think. Yep. Maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive in trying to cycle charge the Sirens throughout the course of the battle, but definitely better late than never. Should be enough to actually finish this unit's leadership off as the Peasant Archers take some point-blank arrow shots right into Sirens' backs. But Depth Guard closing once again. Trying to finish off this unit of Peasant Archers here. We've got more Depth Guard closing here, and Arnessa, of course. Just absolutely Olympic running. Am I allowed to say Olympics? I don't know. Just absolutely sprinting across the desert here, helping her troops to rout everything off. And yeah, late game engagement between these two. Arnessa's high stats, anti-large HP. Got a Spearfisher's Net in her back pocket too that she saved this whole time. Debuffed the melee defense significantly of the Shugengan Lord just to make sure she comes out on top. I mean, her lack of armor does mean the Shugengan knows pushover by any means. Going to be hitting her pretty hard, around the same weapon strength, actually. But her higher stats and that Spearfisher's Net should swing the RNG in her favor. Not to mention Arnessa's animations. In some instances, you can see where she actually pushes the Shugengan back. Shugengan isn't able to do any attack animation. She does a couple more and finishes it off. Honestly, RNS's animations on foot, especially, one of the most underrated aspects about her. But there, Pigman's able to win with a pretty unconventional rush build. I have to say, I like it quite a bit. The combination of that net plus the Vangeist's Revenge, especially early on, even though technically the Celestial Crossbowmen did come back and pay for themselves. Would have just taken like one fell bat, you know, or something to chase them off. Not that Pigman had anything in his particular build. I mean, the Morn Ghouls were an absolute waste. You could definitely just cut them and take like bats and dogs instead, and I think this build would actually be really good. You know, you could also take maybe just some zombie pistols for some extra auxiliary support, but maybe a little bit of both. Maybe, you know, take like one bat, one dog, and a couple pistols. I don't know, but the Morn Ghouls definitely lose those. I mean, they're so squishy. I guess they attract plenty of missile fire here. The rest of these units were able to get in and pay for themselves. Sirens getting some really nice value. 300 kills, 200 kills on the Depth Guard, also paying for themselves. So really nice to see all around. For Kaiju here, for the Cathay player. Yeah, I mean, did as best as he could at defending against that. It's a pretty unconventional type of build. But it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting to see, because, I mean, Cathay has pretty good magic damage options, right? Maybe he, in hindsight, would have liked to have had a little more Crowman, perhaps. Maybe swap out these two. Although the Peasant Horsemen did end up paying for themselves as well, as did the Jade Lancers. So, yeah, maybe just too much archers. Maybe cut one of the archers, two of the archers, take another Crowman. Hard to say. I'm not a Cathay expert by any means, but I would definitely say against the Vampire Coast, something like this, it's probably not too far out of the norm, just because, like, Sirens are really good AP, right? You think about, like, their AP rush monsters as well. Maybe that's hence why you have so many halberds. Just protect against, like, a crab rush here. But, yeah, a lot of really nice AP melee tools. Not that Depth Guard are explicitly melee, but they are anti-infantry, just high damage overall. And again, that speed kills, absolutely. And the speed interaction specifically with these two units here against Cathay, it really seems like it gives them a hard time. But, you know, like Animated Hulk's also in that similar boat. Morn Ghouls, yeah, man, yeah, I really want to like Morn Ghouls. They have some cool things about them, but just in practice, they're way too squishy. At least for me, to be reliably useful. But definitely a fun game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.